Okay, we are live. Welcome everyone to the Wix Studio webinar, all on making your own AI tools for SEO. We have the fantastic Gus and the incredible Constance, and we are going to get started in just a moment. We're going to wait for a couple of people to just file in. Thanks everyone for joining us. If you are here, I can see someone already in the chat who must be somebody who's visited our webinars before, joining from Ohio. If you can tell us where you're joining in from, that we would love to hear from you. I am joining from the UK. Constance, where are you dialing in from today?
I'm in LA.
Wonderful, fantastic. That's a great place to be. And Gus, where are you joining from?
I'm joining from Dublin, Ireland.
Wow, wonderful. We've got someone in from Trinidad and Tobago. Fantastic. And Toronto and
Nice.
Arizona. I said almost in Australia. We might have someone from Australia. I think Brett, is that Austin? I think so. Another person from Texas as well. And someone from Romania. Very excited to hear about the MCP. And we've got Canada as well. Someone from the Carnegie Agency. I'm sure they're here to make friends and influence people. Folks from Montana, Stockholm, Sweden, from India. Wow, what a great turnout. Ukraine, hello, everyone. It's great to hear so many folks. Someone from the UK, to England, and Romania as well. A couple of folks from Romania, South Africa, hello. We love a global audience. It's fantastic to see everyone. Oh, and Brazil, we've got someone from Brazil as well. And obrigada. And another person from LA. We love that as well. So yeah, we have lots of people who are really excited to learn more about MCP and learn more about making your own SEO tools. It's something that I'm really fascinated by. I've heard so many people talk about all the cool things that you can do with this technology, but sometimes you don't know where to start. Even though it's great, you don't really know where to start. And we're going to get into that a little bit. So our speakers today, you got me. If you've joined our Wix Studio webinars, you will know me. I'm Crystal. I'm the head of SEO communications here at Wix. And then we also have Gus Pelogia, who is an SEO over at Indeed. But today he's going to be talking to you about lots of the cool stuff that he builds. Do you want to say anything to say hello to everyone, Gus?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. We're going to do some ChatGPT, copy and pasting, and building some small tools. And hopefully you all going to get something from this and you can go and create your own thing.
Wonderful. And we're also joined by Constance Chen, who was writing some great content over on Search Engine Land about this topic. And I said, Constance, we've got to get you to come and talk to everyone about it. So Constance, I don't know if you'd like to introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, I'm super happy to share and excited to share about MCP servers and what you could do through them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so just a couple of FAQs. Yes, this webinar is being recorded. If anyone joins late or is on a time zone that where they might be up a little bit late, I can see someone's from Singapore, for instance. Don't worry if you've got to jump away. Then this webinar is being recorded. Also, the YouTube link will be sent to you via email, but it's also available at this link, so you can find it later on. And you can ask questions in the chat, and we will be following along there. And you can also check out our other monthly webinars over at the Wix SEO Learning Hub. Right, so introductions. So we're going to, we've just done the introductions. You've just met everyone. And first we're going to hear from Gus, and he's going to talk about some of the really cool SEO tools that he's built with AI and help him do with some of his workflows. And then we're going to hear from Constance, and she's going to talk to you about some of the cool things that you can do with MCP, and also going to show you some of the things about the Wix MCP. And then I'm going to get into a couple of resources for anybody who wants to dive deep into that space. And finally, we're going to end with Q&A. So I will be going through the comments here on the Q&A, and I'll be pinging them, and we'll get to them at the end. And we might get to them towards the middle, at the end of Gus's, at the end of Constance's presentation as well. And with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen. And Gus, if you've got yours ready to go, that would be great.
All right. Let me know if all can see. Yeah, working?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Take it away, Gus.
All right, cool. So yeah, we are here to talk about how to build your own small or medium-sized SEO tools using AI. And if you've been SEO for a while, like me, I've always looked up to developers. They can do all the coding things that I can't do, and it's really exciting to see something being built, especially something that it came from your idea, and someone else does the job for you, and it feels like magic. But now with AI, you can also do what people are calling vibe coding, which is a way to build your own small functional applications without knowing how to code anything. And this is very simple from the process I'm going to show you guys today. And it's mostly for you to have an idea of what is the thinking behind it. Maybe these tools are not the ones that you need, and maybe you want to go out and build your own version with your own needs. And that's the idea. It's just to trigger the thing in your brain to say, oh, I know this is possible, so I'm going to go and get creative with my own thing. So today, by the end of the day or by the end of the session, you will know how to create those tools and copy and paste the code in a place that I'm going to show you, and you'll be able to run those applications yourself in your computer. So you're going to need three things. First, you need an LLM, and you might need the API access to that as well. You might need a connector, something like Screaming Frog or an API from Google Cloud or any other API that you want to talk with. And you're going to use Google Sheets or Google Colab to paste your code, and that's where the application is going to run. It's very simple. You're just going to go ask ChatGPT what you want, and it's going to write the code for you. Feels like magic when I started seeing the code being written and pasted and it worked. It was very exciting, and hopefully you'll be able to do the same. And the second place that you're going to paste, or the first place you're going to paste that code is on Google Colab, which is a collaboration tool that works in Python. It's on every Google account. So I believe it's just collab.google.com. We're going to see the URL in a minute. And you literally copy and paste the code there. It's that simple. And it runs all the code for you in there. And it's very easy. It's everyone that has the Gmail has access to this. It's free to use. And it's kind of like a Python, but it's on the cloud. If you try to install Python before, there's always dependencies and different ways to install it, and you have to start giving commands. And I've tried a few times and I gave up. But this was a way that I don't have to install anything. All or most of the things that I need are already pre-installed, so it's pretty handy to use. And the second place that you can use would be Google Sheets. So in that case, you're going to ask for JavaScript code. I'll give you the prompt, but it's almost just copy and pasting. There's a little configuration more to do. These are the places you're going to copy and paste. The only extra thing you usually need to add if you have that connector in the middle is an API key. And you can create your own API key with OpenAI or any other tool that you use. So if you want to use Google's Knowledge Graph, that API, don't quote me on this, it's free. I haven't paid, but I haven't been billed by Google for it, so you probably can use that for free as well. But if you're using OpenAI, which is the case we're using here in a lot of examples, you can or go with pay-as-you-go billing, probably $20 if you're using a model like GPT-4o Mini. It will take you very far. You can crawl hundreds and hundreds of pages, or there's a lot of prompts that you can run, and it doesn't cost too much. Or if you want to go completely free, you can also use Gemini, that is from Google, and they have a free tier. So you just create your own API key, and it doesn't charge you until a certain amount of usage, but they use that data for training. So if your prompts, your outputs, everything, it will go to Google, and they're going to use to improve their product. So there's a trade-off in there. To create the API key, it's also easy. You go to api.openai, I believe, and you just go to ask to generate the key. You can, as I said, you prepay. So the credit is just sitting in your account. And just to give an idea of costs, I asked ChatGPT to create me this table. So it could be slightly wrong, but when I tested myself using a more complex model like GPT-4, cost me about 20 times what costed me the 4.0 mini. So it's a back of the napkin math, but this seems accurate to me. If it's not perfect, it's close enough. But I would recommend you, if you're doing the things I'm going to show you today, start with the cheaper model, just so you understand how much you're paying and you can play around a lot without spending a lot of money until you find what you need. Then if you need to perfect it later and a more expensive model will give you the answer that you need, that's great, go for it. So you basically need to get in the right mindset. You need to know three things. You need to know what to ask, how to ask, and potentially refine what you're asking if you didn't get it right the first time. So we're gonna start. I'm gonna show you 5 tools today. The first one is the traffic and revenue overlap. I had a conversation not long ago with one of my managers, and we were discussing which pages we should spend more time optimizing, because some pages are there but don't bring a lot of traffic or don't bring a lot of conversions. So I wanted to find where is our group, where is our 80-20% rule there. Maybe just a small group of pages will protect most of the traffic and conversion that we want. So a tool like this will allow you to get that sweet spot. I pretty much just asked GPT to write this. So I'm going to do a quick live example. So I'm copying this prompt and I'm going to paste on ChatGPT. And we just wait for a couple of seconds and the script will show up there. So it gives you some details about steps. In this case, I'm just uploading a spreadsheet with my Google Analytics data, so we don't need any other API calls in here. There's no extra cost to run that. And you go to collab.research.google.com, you go to new notebook, and you're going to paste your code. And in a few seconds, it's, in this case, I'm saying as part of my prompt, oh, we got an error here. Let's try it one more time. I'll actually say what went wrong here. So we'll see. It's a step that I was going to show later, but we might need to do it now. I can just, sometimes if we get an error like this, I just say, I got an error. This is what happened. So let's see if we get the solution. There we go. We'll try one more time. If not, sometimes it does one thing or another don't work, and I never had to do it more than twice. Just show the error and upload the script again, and usually does the trick. So there we go. So here we'll say choose files, and I should upload the file that has the URLs and the traffic, and it will do the magic for me. So I'll show you some more screenshots of how this works. Code is here. You upload your exports. In this case, I need 3 columns: date, page, and traffic. And this was one example of the output. So it was telling me that from all the 10,000 pages that I have, about 3,000 of them, they represent 80% of my traffic and revenue. So now my conversation is about, I don't need to optimize all 10,000, but I need to keep an eye on 3,000. So the work is much smaller to protect what you have right now. You can also ask to generate some visuals. So here it's showing me what is the traffic based on the number of pages. So you can find what is the spot here. We get 80% of between 2,000 and 4,000. So right here in the middle. And sometimes those visuals will help you to tell a story as well. Instead of just showing a bunch of text, people will be interested and say, oh, okay, maybe if we do it 60%, it's going to cost us this, or we have this amount of time or this amount of budgets, this is how much you're protecting. It helps that conversation to flow. Number two, we're going to create a crawler using AI prompts straight on Google Sheets. Now, there are tons of crawlers out there. You don't need to create a new one. This is just to show you an example. I wanted to see if this was possible. And maybe in some edge case, you want to do something that you can't do with existing crawlers right now. So you could go that direction. And in this case, I wanted to crawl the URLs just by adding them on the spreadsheet. And as soon as I add a URL, I want that prompt to run automatically. And one more time, I just asked ChatGPT to write the code for me, a Python code to use with Google Colab. You need to crawl or scrape the content. And the instructions are very clear here, right? The URLs are in column A. Then run this by the prompt in column B. This will make a call to OpenAI. I'm going to give you a key and return the answer in a CSV. So every step that I need to happen, I'm asking very clearly to ChatGPT how to do it. And if your code fails, just like mine failed a second ago, my process is I just paste the error and say, I got this error, can you fix it? And sometimes usually with one prompt, I get that fixed, or I can even start with the code itself. Maybe you got a code from someone else and you say, I have a code here. I want you to make changes A, B, and C, and it will do the job for you. So here's my my little crawler that is running all of the pages, and I upload my document, which is one quick example. And I also asked to download the output automatically, so I don't have to stay on Google Colab looking for where that file was saved. And this is just a screenshot of what it did. So I had a very simple prompt, just summarize this article in one phrase. I just wanted to see if it would work the way I expected it to work. All right, so we're gonna go to example number 3, related pages finder. And I have a whole article about this, so I'm just gonna touch in a few pieces in here. But you can use this to build internal links at scale. You can tag pages, or you can do content clustering as well. There are two concepts that you need to learn here. First are vector embeddings. The second is cosine similarity. And I'm not a data scientist, so if there's a data scientist watching, I apologize. This is me as an SEO and what I understood out of what vector embeddings are. But for me, these are numerical representations of text that capture the semantic meaning and relationships between all the words and phrases that are on that page. If you can extract this with Screaming Frog, and it's going to give you a spreadsheet with all of these numbers. So all the numbers you see on the back of here, this is just for one page. And it's looking at how close words are, what's the relationship between them. And we're looking at the whole content of the page, not just some keywords or titles or parts of it. There are a lot of images giving an example of how this works. And I thought this was a very good one. So it's connecting royalty is very close. From one would be 100% similar, but it's 99 similarity with king, queen. It's low with women or men, but it's very close with prince or princess. So it will give you, I think this is a good way to explain, masculinity is close with king, but it's not close, it's far away from queen, and things like that. So it gives you a good way to map the whole page and what is the meaning of that page, not just bits and pieces. And cousin similarity is essentially like crunching those vectors and saying how close all the vectors from this page are to the vectors on this other page. So maybe you're going to find out that the pages A and C are very similar because they talk about the same thing, and you have a page D on your website that is completely off topic, and it will help you to say how close they are from each other. You can use ScreenFrog to extract the embeddings, and then you're going to ask ChatGPT to run the cousin similarity for you. The use case that I had was I wanted to find similar articles to add internal linking to them. I can't use any, and in my company, I can't use any plugins, or I don't have any out of the box situation or tool like this. So I just built my own. And again, I asked for the code. It will give me the code back, and sometimes you ask once or twice more until it does what you're expecting to do. So here's my example again, just running this on Google Colab. I upload my CSV, and it is pretty quick. So it gives me all the, in this case, I asked for 3 articles that are similar to the first one, and here will give me some examples on the screen, but it also generates a CSV that downloads the whole list for me. Now we go to Google Sheets, and I have a knowledge panel tracker. This is on my Wix article as well that has some of these examples, but not all of them. And you can use that to find entities on Google. If it's a person, organization, or a thing, you can extract that to your Google Sheet. So this is the place that's how you find out if Google recognizes you as an entity. And it can be a person, can be a thing, it can be any word that you put in there. It will classify, if Google understands you as an entity, it will classify you into one of these. And this is a good signal to have a knowledge panel. Luckily, I have one. And first, you're going to get your Google Cloud API. This one that I believe is free. I haven't been charged, and I use a lot. So unless there's any surprise that is coming my way, you should get for free as well. So you you create your account on Google Cloud, you enable the API, and it's going to give you this number and the API number. That's all you need to paste on Google Sheets to have that, to use your script. One more time, you have the prompt in here, and you can even get a bit more refined, right? So I noticed that sometimes you wouldn't have a valid result because you wouldn't find any entity, so it would just give me an empty page. So I wasn't even sure if it actually if it worked or not to look for the API, look for the entity. So I added here saying, if the query doesn't return a valid result, please print the message, query is not present on knowledge graph panel. So, and then you can check if it's working or not. One more time, just ask for the code. It does for you like magic. Do ask specifically for Google Colab, because sometimes we'll generate the code thinking that you're using somewhere else, and that's where you tend to see errors. And right here on the top, where it says API key, it literally gives you the space and say your Google API key. You're going to copy and paste the key in there. And finally, you can run this on, you can do on Google Colab, and you can do on Google Sheets as well. I know I said Colab in here. I'm going to give you a Google Sheets example soon. And you can even go further. I created a version of this for me that will look at my entity once a day. Very egoistic, but maybe once a month would be enough. But it looks at what score that I have and gives me the results once a day. So once a day, probably too much. The confidence score doesn't change that often, but if you do it maybe once a week or once a month, will allow you to see if the confidence on a specific entity is increasing or decreasing.
I'm just going to jump in quickly. You've shared some great stuff, and I know we're on the last one. We've had a couple of questions for folks who are asking about CSV and some of the technical things. So just to answer that question quickly, CSV stands for comma separated value. And basically what it did, what Gus was saying was when he had a CSV was you can take all of the links from your website. So all of the list of all of the web pages, you can make them into a CSV, which isn't, it sounds like that's complicated, but it's not. When you save the file, you can just save it as a CSV. You can put a list in a spreadsheet and you can export it as a CSV. Then you can put that into ChatGPT, and that lets you do some of the cool stuff that Gus is talking about. The other thing that's great in the age of AI is that if you get stuck on any of the steps that Gus is talking about, you can also have AI help you with some of those. So essentially, the value here is that you're able to do some fantastic things at scale. Gus is used to working with thousands and thousands of web pages in one go. And so it's something that helps you to do that there as well. So we're going to get to the next one, and also anyone who's thinking about a bit more detail on following along, there's a full write-up, and I'll share the link to this later on as well on the Wix SEO Learning Hub, where there's all of the details, and you can go fully at your own pace. And there's links to all of the tools that he's talking about. So links to ChatGPT, links to Google Colab, which is a tool that helps you to do lots of interesting stuff, and also links to some of the Google Sheet things that he's talking about as well. And with that, I'll let Gus finish up.
Cool. Yeah. Just to add to that, if someone wants to use an Excel file, that's fine as well. You can just ask as part of your prompt, I'm going to upload a XLS file or an Excel file or a PowerPoint file or a PDF. It's just about the command that you give, because then the code is going to be written to work based on that command. All right, so we're going to go to the final example, and this is one that just surfaced the SEO world last week, and I thought it was a good addition to it, is ChatGPT Query Extractor. So it's a bookmarklet, and it is basically a bookmark that is on your browser. The let part is just a technical term. When it's instead of a link, it's a JavaScript piece that is running inside that text. So a little bit of background. When you search something on ChatGPT, your very long query, they transform your prompt into multiple queries, and they send all of those to Bing. And you can see if you can hack your way through your browser, you can find those in the response, which is very handy because everyone SEO is trying to discover how to navigate the new AI search world. So this is a little piece of the puzzle that might help us to get in a good direction. And yeah, the queries are registered in your browser. If you want, you can go click right button, inspect network, search for conversation, and find the response. But not everyone's going to spend time going through all of these every time you do a query. So you can actually do this once and ask ChatGPT to create you this bookmarklet. So step number one is to do your search. The number one, you click on the bookmarklet, and I'll give you the code. Someone already did this job for us. So all you would need to do is to add the piece of code in your bookmark. So you put any name you want, and instead of a link, you place the code. And every time you are on ChatGPT, you can just click on this button, and it's going to open on a new page the actual queries that were used to generate that answer. And I'm going to give a shout out. There are a few people that went through this discovery, but the one that I discovered through was this guy, Ziggy, and I'm not going to butch his last name because I realized I never said it out loud. But he has on his website the piece of code that you do in the instructions. Again, it's just a copy and paste. But I wanted to ask ChatGPT as well, maybe there's an easy way to do this. And this is my shortest prompt ever. But I just asked, I want to create a JavaScript bookmarklet to add on Chrome. That's my browser. It should extract the contents inside search query, which is the query that is on that response from the browser. And it actually worked. It's not as pretty as the version that he did, but I wanted to see, can I do it very quickly? And it worked. So this prompt was 2 phrases, and it kind of does the job. So this is just to show how simple it can be sometimes to make something like this work. And yeah, I have a couple of more tips, and I know we are time, so I'm just going to go very quickly through them. Always ask for code specific to the platform that you need. This one is not available on Collab, so it didn't work for me. You might get away with some errors. I got all of these, and I still managed to upload the file, and that's the job that I want. So if the option to upload your file works, ignore the rest. It might still work. And tweak your code until it does what you want. In one case, similar to the first example I had today, I didn't say I was going to upload the CSV file, so it just generated random numbers for me. So I had to add a new line, say, I'm going to give you the numbers. You don't need to create them. You don't need to hallucinate. And give very clear directions. So my file is going to have this on column A and this on column B. I want you to combine the results in one file. I want the file to be downloaded automatically and things like that. So it does exactly what you want. And very important for everything with AI, always sense check the results. Don't blindly trust the output. It will look very confident, but sometimes it just makes making stuff up, and you can get into a lot of trouble. Yeah. A lot of these is on my article at the Wix SEO Hub. Some of these examples will be there soon, but some of them, 3 of them are already there. So if you want all the details, the step-by-step, I know we went through and it was quick. So you can read the article and do on your own time. If something doesn't work, you want to message me on LinkedIn, please do so, and I'll do my best to help you as quick as I can. That's all for me.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Gus. That was really fantastic. Thank you so much. And we had a few folks, just before we get to Constance, we had a few folks who were asking about some of the SEO things generally, and sort of starting from scratch. If you're a complete beginner and you're here, bravo for getting involved, because it's great to jump in at the deep end sometimes to see where you can take your SEO. Gus has been working in this space for a very long time, but I've been working for a while, and I think we also had to start from somewhere. So if you're starting early in your journey, we have a whole collection of videos. For instance, the SEO for Beginners collection, which helps you do all of those things. We also have a full expert-led SEO course that takes you all the way from ground zero all the way up to more expert tools. So just to let you know about those, and I will share the links to those shortly. Thank you so much, Gus. I'm going to bring on Constance now. And Constance, are you ready to share your presentation? And can I unmute you as well?
Yep. All right.
Yeah, wonderful. We got tech. Okay, are we ready to share?
Yes. Can everyone see my screen?
We can now.
Great.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Over to
Okay.
you.
Very excited to do this. All right. So we have come quite a long way when it comes to technology. We've seen this. We've gone to this. And now we have seen this.
Hey, go online and look for a user's manual for a Huffy mountain bike.
I have found a user manual for you. What would you like to know about it?
Okay, cool. Now scroll until you find the section about the brakes.
Sure thing. Looking for that page now.
I think I stripped this screw. Can you go on YouTube and find a video for how to fix that?
Of course. I'm opening YouTube now. This looks like a good video.
Place your rubber.
Okay. So if you haven't seen this yet, this is Google's Project Astra, which is an AI assistant that has multimodal features as well as agentic capabilities. So it can understand video, it can understand audio, it can understand text, and it's able to take actions like opening up YouTube on your phone. So when we think about where AI is heading, this is really the direction things are going in. It's about AI becoming more like an assistant, and it can actually take actions and help you with everyday tasks. So it's not just answering questions. So what does this have to do with MCP? So MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. This is an open standard and open source framework, meaning developers and companies can customize it to fit their tools and workflows. And then all of these different tools and systems can work together more easily because they all follow the same framework. So this was first introduced by Anthropic. They are the AI company that made Claude. They introduced the concept back in November 2024. And since then, other major AI companies like Microsoft and OpenAI, and more recently Google, have all adopted this framework. So let's talk about what MCP actually allows people to do. The MCP framework basically acts like a USB-C port. It's a connector that lets AI to plug into different systems. So like your data sources, your tools, your apps, it gives AI the ability to actually take actions and do things. So with this connector, you now have this two-way link between the AI and your systems. And similar to if you had a USB port, you could plug in a number of items into the port, like your USB drive, and access the data that's on the external drive. Or you can plug in your toothbrush and charge it. So the idea here is that you're allowing the standardized connection that you can access many different systems. And it's also based on a client server model. So in this type of connection, the client asks for something and then the server provides it. And another way to look at this is to think about our smartphones and our mobile apps. So we can download the YouTube app to watch videos. You can download Duolingo to learn a language. You can download Starbucks to order your coffee. If you love Mark and Spencer's like me, you can order your items through click and collect off your mobile app. Or if you want to see the latest running shoes from Nike, you can download the app to do so. And all of this takes place through your phone. So in a similar fashion, LLM clients can connect to MCP servers from different organizations to perform a variety of different actions. So this ultimately allows the LLM client to become like an assistant to you because it now has the agentic capabilities to perform certain tasks and actions through this connection. So let's say Nike created an MCP server that had data like product SKUs or prices and sizes. You can then have ChatGPT connect to the Nike MCP server and ask, do you have these new running shoes in size 8? And it could answer that question for you. So why does this matter to us as marketers? It's because this fundamentally changes the relationship between AI and data. So with MCP servers, LLMs are able to access data sources directly. LLMs don't need to wait for their training data to be updated or an external source to be updated. It can actually access databases directly. So it will have the most up-to-date information straight from the source, and then it can also act on that data. And since LLMs are able to perform different actions depending on the MCP server, if you were to connect an LLM to an MCP server that has marketing data, you're now able to interact with that data quite differently. So let's say, for example, you can connect ChatGPT to HubSpot's MCP server, and you can start to create processes and workflows that automate certain marketing tasks. So the possibilities here are very much wide open. So the other difference, unlike APIs, MCP servers allow LLMs to make decisions based on context. So if, let's say we're at a restaurant when we're eating, we want to get dessert there, you tell your waiter, let's say that's the LLM, you have a nut allergy. But if you order a chocolate cake and tell the waiter, hey, can you order me a chocolate cake? The waiter should be able to tell you based on the menu from the restaurant, which will make analogous to the data from the MCP server. Hey, that chocolate cake has nuts in it. You probably want to order a different dessert. Why don't you order the strawberry cake since it doesn't have nuts? So when we think about this with memory and context, LLMs can be utilized to personalize customer journeys and interactions in general, and remember preferences and how to interact with a user. And then lastly, when we think about MCP servers, they can also boost visibility in a different way. So if you think about how apps have become another way for brands and companies to create reach for smartphone users, in a very similar fashion, MCP servers also allow brands to reach LLM users. Because I think one thing to really recognize is that this is still an evolving framework. It's a very new area. So depending on what types of MCP-enabled tools are created by developers, this can become another avenue where companies can consider building brand awareness. So for example, again, we go back to Nike. If they built an MCP server with their product data, they can reach users who are using ChatGPT to find top-rated running shoes. And how this looks like, what this could look like, this is probably going to change over time as the framework is being adopted, but the potential is very much there. So here's a quick look at how MCP works. On the far left-hand side, you see these colored boxes labeled data source. These represent all the different data sources like spreadsheets and CRMs, or even a custom database. And sometimes the data can be accessed through a web API. But by themselves, these tools don't speak the same language as an AI model like ChatGPT or Claude. Well, with the MCP server, the purple diamond in the middle, this connects to the original data source, and then it transforms that information into a format that can be shared using a standardized system, which we call Model Context Protocol, which is these blue boxes. So finally, when you go to the right-hand side, you have the MCP client. This could be an AI system like an LLM, like ChatGPT. So using this framework, the LLM can now ask for data, it could pull information, and it could also take actions directly inside these external tools. And that's how an LLM can become a functional assistant that can perform different actions. So I'm going to do a quick demo I'm going to show you a quick demo of how you can utilize this in a workflow. This is so in this demo, I've connected ChatGPT to the Zapier MCP server, which allows me access to Gmail and Asana through its integration. So right now, as I'm playing the video, I'm prompting ChatGPT to pull up this email that I got from Heather this afternoon. And I wanted to create a list of follow-up tasks from that email. So the LLM has created a request, and I clicked approve. And now you'll see that it's pulled up my email and created that list. So now what I'm typing in is that I want ChatGPT to create a task for me in Asana based on an item from the task list. And this task is to create an NVIDIA blog and assign it to Connie. It'll be due in July. Okay, so I submit the prompt, and then I submit the request. So the task is created, and I click the link to Asana, and it shows that the task is there. So this is just one of the examples of the types of workflows that you can create and begin to automate. So through MCP servers, AI assistants can do things like shop stores and buy items for you. They can find hotels for you. They can create and manage a website. They can set appointments for you, and all that and more, all depending on the type of MCP server that you connect to. So here are a couple of examples of official MCP servers that exist right now. Stripe has one, and when you connect your LLM to Stripe's MCP server, you can process payments and refunds. You can manage subscriptions and retrieve customer data. With Zapier's MCP server, you can connect an LLM to over 7,000 apps, so it becomes a gateway to other systems. And with this connection, you can execute workflows across different tools like Salesforce and Google Sheets. And instead of building one-off automations per app, you can centralize it through the LLM and Zapier. Wix also has its own MCP server. It allows you to manage your website without coding. And instead, you can just prompt the LLM to help manage your website. But it could also help update your pages and add new products and publish blogs. And these are just a few of the capabilities that you have when you connect an LLM to these servers. But note that this slide contains official servers created by these companies. So as you're playing around with MCP servers, you'll notice that many servers right now are community created. So maybe a certain company does not have an official MCP server yet, but there are many developers out there who have created these unofficial MCP servers. And I'm not saying whether or not you should use these in your workflow, but the next slide is an example of what is possible. So these are some of the unofficial servers for companies like Airbnb. So this one, for instance, it can let an LLM search listings based on specific criteria. So for example, you can ask, find me a listing that is next to a tube station and within 5 blocks of a grocery store. You can create trip planning workflows. You can also have it cross-reference with Google Maps so that you can find listings based on attractions or based on price. So the second server in the middle, this was created for Kroger grocery stores. This is a chain and network of grocery stores within the US. And when you connect an LLM client to this MCP server, you can basically automate your grocery shopping in a number of different ways. So you can locate a store and search product availability and then manage your cart. And imagine pairing this with speech, because now you can dictate to the LLM to order the ingredients you need for taco night, and you can order what you need based on the live inventory data. And then this third example on the right-hand side, this is for Uber Eats. So with this one, imagine how you can start to build meal plans based on a budget or your dietary preferences. And you can use the LLM to help you find specific foods and then get it to help you place the order. So all of these are examples of how MCP servers can extend an LLM's reach into daily actions. Now let's talk about examples of marketing workflows. What happens when you combine, let's say, Claude with an MCP server like PayPal? So with PayPal's MCP server, it can be used to automatically generate invoices and detailed transaction reports every month. You can reduce manual work without any effort. And then let's say you work with a number of different vendors and contractors, you can automate your payouts. So you can instruct Claude to send out biweekly payments based on your internal data. Well, like the demo with ChatGPT and Asana, we can also create new tasks based on your meetings or your emails. Or another thing you could do is you can prompt the LLM to review task progress and send out summaries at the end of the week for a specific project. Another example is Claude and HubSpot. So you can prompt the LLM to create engagement emails for new leads. And then based on CRM data, you can also personalize the timing of the message based on user behavior. And with another prompt, you can also set up triggered automation. So let's say a user visits your pricing page but doesn't convert. Then you can also get Claude to identify this behavior and send up a follow-up email with a coupon or a reminder, all with a prompt. So let's kind of talk about how can organizations use MCP servers. Here are a couple of ways. First, MCP servers let you build internal tools. So you can automate routine tasks like scheduling or reporting or data entry. And it could also help streamline existing systems. So instead of jumping between platforms, an LLM can connect and coordinate across them. And then for your teams with specific needs, you can also build custom applications for specific uses and to help manage workflows. Another way organizations can use this is by improving customer journeys. And these systems can use customer data to deliver better experiences, such as suggesting other products based on user preferences or sending emails based on user activities. And because natural language processing is there, it can handle conversations quite naturally. So it can improve customer interactions as well as customer engagement. Third, MCP servers also give up-to-date answers about a company and its products and services. So one thing it can do is provide documentation specifically for customers and developers, either to address questions about their product or their service, or just provide support about the process. And because the content is also coming directly from the source, it supports brand visibility by providing that information directly. And then the answers that are provided are consistently on brand, which is another benefit to building strong brand identity and also brand voice. And then lastly, another way to for organizations to use this is just by accessing data. So MCP servers let LLMs tap into data from multiple sources, so your data doesn't need to be siloed. Instead, it can pull from different sources to provide real-time information. And since your access is structured, you also maintain control over what data is used and how. And this in terms allows you to use the LLM to analyze and leverage your data. Okay, so let's move to this last section. How do you actually set up an MCP server? And I'm going to give you a really high level view for this, but if you want some step-by-step direction, you can see my blog or these slides later on. So the answer for this, how do you actually set up an MCP server? The answer is it depends. Every MCP server is different. Every client is different. So the setup process can vary quite a bit. Each MCP server and client has their own documentation. So I would suggest looking for the documentation first and then following the steps for setup. But they also generally follow 3 main steps. You first choose your client and your MCP server, you connect to your client, and then you test the connection. So let's go through the first step. We'll choose our MCP server and client. In this example, our MCP server will be Wix, and our client will be Claude Desktop. So with this, note that when you're using Claude as your client, you will need to download and install Claude for desktop. You will not be able to use Claude in the browser. And the second thing you'll need to do is that you'll need to download and install Node.js. So now that we have our client and we chose our MCP server, we're going to try and connect to the client. So first we're going to the page for the Wix MCP server. You're going to scroll down to the bottom at the end of the page and copy the code in step 1 where it says configure the Wix MCP server. And then once you copy that code, you'll open up Claude on desktop, go to settings and basically configure this file. And you'll copy the code from the Wix MCP server page and then paste it in here, save the file, and then you'll restart Claude, recheck the settings, and then if it's set up properly, it should now list the Wix MCP server. So now we need to test the connection by submitting a prompt. So in this prompt, I just asked, what can you do with my Wix website through the Wix MCP server? And here you can see the response is a success because you can see that in the green highlighted box, it pulls the answer directly from the Wix documentation that is accessed through the MCP server. So it lists out all these different capabilities directly from that documentation. And now you can start playing with it now that the connection is implemented. So at this point, the door is wide open. There are so many MCP servers that are out there, including the ones that I shared today. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And with a working MCP connection, you can now explore a number of workflows, whether it's marketing automation or customer support or just analyzing your data. So play around. I would love to hear what you come up with and what types of possibilities you discovered. But the idea is just have fun connecting to all these different servers and see what you can do. And again, please don't be shy about reaching out. I would love to hear what you're working on. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any. Feel free to say hi or connect over LinkedIn over this QR code. And thank you so much for joining today. Crystal, I think you're on mute.
Yes. Hello. Great. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We've got just a couple of minutes. I'm just going to whiz through a couple of things. There have been some questions where people have asked about a couple of things around the Wix stuff. And Constance is completely right. She went through. She has a fantastic article which was just published on the Wix Studio Learning Hub, and it goes through some of this. I'm just going to share my screen. I can see it. Yes. Okay. So, and it will share some of this. So I've got a few resources. So as we've mentioned these a couple of times, Gus and Constance both shared content, which is available on the Wix Studio Learning Hub right now, and you can go and check it out, and you can follow along again at your own pace. And then also there are links into it, but there's a full write-up that has lots of details on the Wix MCP server, and it will tell you how all of that works, and it gets into lots of details. A couple of other things people ask, how can we see some Wix Studio examples? How can we see some of those things? We have some great tutorials where you can follow along step by step from our Wix devs team. So the Wix devs on Wix documentation goes into all of the detail, and there's a great YouTube video that tells you how to do everything step by step. And there's also there's about 3 different videos on the Wix Studio forum as well that goes through a few of those tutorials step by step. And then there's a fantastic Stripe sessions follow along where they set up connecting Stripe to the Wix MCP so that you can do payments and bookings through Stripe using Wix MCP, which is precisely the kind of use case that Constance was talking about during her session, where you can connect to lots of really cool tools through that. Another thing that's available on the Wix Studio for Devs and for Devs for Wix information is lots of information about the documentation, the REST API, and lots of the tools that sort of show you exactly how you can use them to manage what you're doing on your website. And then we also have some sample prompts within there as well. So you'll get this deck later that has links to all of this, but the sample prompts tell you some of the things. So somebody asked, can we connect Wix to Zapier's API to do emails? Well, you can connect your emails to Wix. Wix's API, Wix's MPC directly. So you can do some things through the Zapier Wix integration, but you can also connect directly through the Wix MCP. We also have an example of doing a discount across all of your source product. That was another thing that Constance was talking about being able to sort of query product details and real-time product details and give that sort of information. You're able to change those on your Wix website via the MCP. Another example was creating and publishing blogs at scale, potentially through MCP, and also updating your dashboard to sort of add or display a collection, so you can do things with dynamic pages as well via the Wix MCP. And I think we've got just a couple of more questions for Q&A. So I'm going to just stop sharing now. And if you've got any questions in the chat, jump in. I've got one question that was flagged earlier while Gus was speaking, which was asking about multilingual. So I think you were talking about Colab, and you were talking about some of the different things you were doing there. Are you familiar with whether or not it's able to, these scripts are able to work in a multilingual fashion?
In theory, yes. I've used them in Spanish, Italian, English, Portuguese, but specifically with Chinese. I just did a quick test, went on ScreenFrog and did a crawl, and it does crawl, it does get the embeddings, and I asked the prompt just to summarize a page for me in English, and it gave me an answer in English. If it's actually doing the job or not, or it's just hallucinating, I don't speak Chinese to confirm, but I believe that you can do all of this in Chinese as well.
Yeah, and I think that it's worth checking the AI tool that you're using, because different LLMs are stronger in different languages. So some will cover some languages and some might not cover other languages. And there's also dialects and things like that. So it's worth checking that, and also checking it with a native speaker. As you said, Gus, you said, don't just blindly publish everything, double check what you're doing. So that's great. And Olu asked, I don't have a Wix website. Can I use the MCP? So you can absolutely use the Wix MCP if you have a Wix website to do things on headless and things like that. But we also shared examples of other ways that you can use MCP. Constance shared lots of them and has a great article that talks about that as well. Constance, I don't know, is there one in particular that you use a lot? I know a lot of people have shared using Google Search Console with MCP. That was the sort of first big use case I saw.
I've been playing around with Asanas just because I manage a lot of projects and it just streamlines the process of like being able to create follow-up tasks and things like that. Asana as well as Zapier because it integrates with so many different apps. So I would suggest trying that out.
Wonderful. And then we have a question for Gus as well, and I'll see if I can make sense of this. I've been using the N8N. Does that make sense to you, Gus? Do you know what that is? Okay. For now, and my proficiency has vastly increased. Gotten some great ideas today. What would you say is your most used LLM workflow use case for your company SEO? We'll focus on the last question if we can. Thank you very much for submitting your question.
The one that I use the most is the one to find related pages. And on the personal sides, I think the knowledge graph one is very interesting as well. So I started just like collecting the scores from a bunch of SEOs, and I don't know, maybe this turns into a blog post or something in the future, but it's just nice that it does the job for me every day and fetch the data, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and I think that the knowledge graph one is a great one. So that's on the Wix Studio Learning Hub, and I've used that personally. It's a good one because it's really it's low stakes. So it's if you're sort of thinking, oh, I want to get started with adding scripts to my Google Sheets. I want to get started with Google Colab. It's a nice friendly one where you can't really break anything, and you can test things, and yeah, it's a lovely one to check out because it doesn't have to be your knowledge panel. It can be any knowledge panel.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. Someone asked, are ordinary Wix websites now upgrade to Wix Studio? No, you don't have to. It'd be great if you did. You can do lots more stuff, but you don't have to. And then someone else asked, how do these tools using SEO to direct traffic to your website on Wix? So essentially, what these tools allow you to do is to do more SEO, and it allows you to do more SEO at scale. And if you're able to do that, then that will drive more traffic to your website. So Gus shared some internal linking examples, and that gives you insights on which pages need internal links and helps you to do that at scale, which allows you to move more quickly. So for instance, if you were to do the internal linking, you could use the internal linking script from Gus to tell you which pages need updated, and then you could use some of the MCP tools that Constance was talking about to update those pages using insights from ChatGPT. For instance. And so, yeah, and then I've got one that says, so you can use tools that email your clients weekly analytics with MCP, right? That is something that we don't have the exact prompt for that, Paul. However, if you set one up, please do share. You can absolutely email Wix MCP. You can absolutely email with Wix MCP, and I believe you can get access to analytics. So if you're able to connect the two, we'd love to see your work. And with that, I'd like to give a big thanks to Constance and a big thanks to Gus. And a big thanks to everyone who joined us today for getting involved with all of this information. Do visit the Wix Studio Learning Hub to see more webinars and to get the details. And we'll be emailing you the decks, and we'll be emailing you the links that you've seen here today in the next couple of days. So thank you so much for joining us. Bye.
See y'all.